Okay, welcome to JC Connect. Uh, in the previous class, uh, we were discussing about the IS code that we have completed. So there we have listed some of the physical characteristics, chemical characteristics, and the biological characteristics. So slowly and also just before that class, we started with the physical characteristics. So um, we covered the temperature, odor, then that is turbidity, and we have also seen the mm, how exactly uh, the principle, what exactly the behind principle behind the turbidity. That also we observed, and pH value, how exactly what will be the range. That also we have discussed. As for the IS code, the pH of the water should be, it will be um, in between the 6.5 to 8.5, and in the new code, that is 2012, the permissible and relaxation that we discussed, relaxation and permissible. So the permissible, it has been removed in 2012 code, but in 1991 this um, the permissible limit up to 9, it was there. Up to 9, it is permissible. Okay, so then how exactly we have to do the calibration, that also we have seen. Okay, then we'll move on to one very important parameter, that is electrical conductivity. So the electrical conductivity is the measure of um, the water capacity to convey the electric current. Okay, the reciprocal is the resistance. So the reciprocal of the conductivity is resistance. So then resistance is measured in the ohm. Okay, so reverse it will be mho. Okay, ohm, ohm. The resistance it is ohm. So then conductivity is mho. Okay, or it will be Siemens per centimeters. So sometimes it will be millisiemens per centimeter, or sometimes it will be microsiemens. This one be millisiemens per centimeter or microsiemens per centimeters. Okay, sometimes it will be measured in um, mho, or it will be measured in Siemens per centimeters. Okay, so then the unit of use is moles per centimeter. Why it is moles or per centimeter? Why it is? The reason behind it is always the principle behind this electrical conductivity is so you have to take the any sample if you want to measure it, and you have to dip the electrode. Okay, what this electrode, it consists of one calomel electrode. So what will happen is, whenever if you dip this electrode into the water, so suddenly, for example, whatever the electrons that are present in water, so it will passes the current from one place to one point to other point. Okay, means the how exactly the current is flowing from one point to other point. Based on that, it will give the value. So that is why distance is measured here. Okay, inside that equipment. So and it is measured with the help of the conductivity meter. Conductivity meter. It was measured with the help of the conductivity meter. So that only you have to remember. So it is the measure of the electrical conductivity. Then what ions are responsible for this electrical conductivity? Okay, so normally total dissolved solids. Okay, total dissolved solids are dissolved solids are responsible for conduction. For example, sodium chloride. If you take salt, And if you dissolve, this is also dissolved solids. Salt is a dissolved solid. If you dissolve it in water, so definitely the conductance of water is going to increase. Conductance is going to increase. So overall, you can remember that. Overall, you can remember that if more ions are there in water, means it is more conductance. Okay, that only you have to remember. So then conductivity of uh, see how exactly before that I already said that in a turbidity experiment also you have to calibrate the instrument, and in pH also you have to calibrate the instrument. In pH, what you did in pH using some standard known solutions like pH 4, pH 7, and pH 9 you have used to calibrate the instrument. Similarly, in turbidity, you have used 0 NTU, 10 NTU, 100 NTU solutions to calibrate the equipment. Similarly, what you have to do is that here also you have to calibrate it before analyzing the sample. So using standard 0.01 molar KCl solutions you have to take. Okay, molar stands for it is the strength of the solution. So just now remember it is the strength of the solution uh, that signifies the molar or normality. So 2 normally will use it. Molar that represent M, and normal that is normality. Okay, these two words we will use it to check the strength of the solution. Strength of the solution. Okay, what you have to do is that 0.01 molar KCl you have to prepare, then you have to dip it in water. So then what it will give is that it will give you a standard value. Okay, that is 14.1 millisiemens per centimeter. Okay, so that has to give, if you prepare that much and if you dip it in that water, it will give that much conductivity. Means the equipment is calibrated. Once the equipment is calibrated, so then you can dip any solutions into that electrode and you find out it. Okay, so then we will move on to the hardness um, equipment, hardness experiment. So hardness is also one very important parameter. So this you already know, maybe you might have conducted an experiment in your first uh, semester also in maybe in the chemistry lab. Okay, so hardness is the measure of um, so it is the measure of ability of water to cause a precipitation of insoluble calcium and magnesium salts of higher fatty acids from soap solutions. So normally, what is hard water? So this we'll discuss later. Hard water is you take a soap and if you mix with the water, suppose if it is not forming any lather, so then it is a hard water. Okay. If it is forming a foam or the lather, so then it is a soft water. Okay. Hard water and the soft water. Then which ions are causing the hard water? Say why the soap is not giving foam or the lather. So it is because of carbonates CO3 and bicarbonates CO3 and HCO3. Carbonates and bicarbonates of Ca and magnesium, calcium and magnesium, and nitrates NO3 SO4 of Ca and Mg. Okay, these ions are responsible for causing the hardness of water. So why it is not giving the hardness means these ions are more. The calcium and as well as the magnesium ions are more in this hard water. That is why it is not forming the lather. So then there are two types of hardness are there. One is temporary hardness and one more is permanent. Temporary is due to the Ca and Mg of CO3 and HCO3. That is, CO3 represents carbonates, HCO3 represents bicarbonates. Okay, and permanent hardness is nitrates, that is NO3, and sulfates, okay, of Ca and Mg. Okay, see, Ca is plus, Mg is plus. So these are cations. And CO3 and HCO3, that is anions. CO3 minus HCO3 minus HCO3 minus. Okay, these are anions. Okay, so anions is negative ions and cations is the positive ions. But anode is, remember, reverse. Anode is positive, cathode is negative. So this you should know. Sometimes what people will say that, so anode is a positive, then anions is a positive. It's not like that. Okay, it is in reversible nature. Okay, the two types of hardness: temporary hardness and permanent hardness. Then which causes the temporary hardness? The carbonates and bicarbonates of calcium and magnesium, and nitrates, sulfates of calcium and magnesium. So it is permanent hardness. Okay. See then, how exactly we are going to determine in the laboratory? Okay, so using in the lab, we are determining with the help of the titration method. See, previously pH, conductivity, turbidity, and the color also, color and odor. This we have used instrument to determine it. But this the hardness we are using with the help of the titration method. So titrant, the method called EDTA method. Titrant we are using EDTA. So that is we are using the EDTA. We are using EDTA to determine. EDTA acts as a titrant. Okay, so with the name of that one only, that is the EDTA method. So method of determination is EDTA. Okay, so then usually it is expressed in terms of milligram per liter as CaCO3. See, in the examinations, okay, he will ask that what is the significance of the hardness. So how we are going to measure it, and what will be the IS code of that. That only you have to write it whenever in the examination, if he has been asked. Okay, so it is usually hardness. He will ask for 2 to 3 marks. That's it. So in that, what you have to do is that whatever the points I have discussed now, that much only you have to discuss. So which causes the hardness, and how we exactly are going to measure it, and what will be the IS standard, means IS 10500 or 2012 code. How much it will be, how much will be in drinking water it should be there. That only you have to write it. Normally it will be 250 milligram per liter. Okay, so hardness. So normally if hard water is there, it is not good for the human health, and even the hard water you are not supposed to use in boilers. Very important. See, in the industries, if hard water, if you are supplying to the boilers, okay, there is a formation of scale formation. Scale formation. What is a scale formation? See, wherever inside that boilers, you can find some white precipitate type of powder you can find inside the boiler. Inside the boiler. Okay, white type of precipitate. Or sometimes wherever the joints will be there. Okay, if the boiler is made up of two joints, in the joints you can see the white precipitate type of powder. Powder. That is nothing but scale formation. So this is due to the calcium and magnesium, okay, of CO3, or it is due to HCO3. Okay, that you have to take it off. Okay, then we'll move on to the total solids. Okay, see, water contains different impurities like suspended, colloidal, and dissolved impurity that I already told. Majorly, we are going to classify total solids into three categories, that is total suspended solids, TSS, that is total dissolved solids, and total colloidal solids. Okay. So again, if you go in detail about this total dissolved solids and total colloidal solids in detail, again, different classifications in these total suspended solids, total dissolved solids. We'll discuss that in the next paragraph. Okay. So always it is a combination. Total solids made is a combination of all these three. That is total suspended solids, total dissolved solids, and total colloidal solids. See, some of the aspects of this I already explained in most of the previous classes. Okay. And impure water, it can be broadly defined as the mixture of different types of solids in liquid phase. See, solids can be classified as settleable, suspended, dissolved, volatile, and fixed. So we'll discuss that, how exactly this we are calculating it. So all these types of together make up of total solids. Okay. So the settleable solids are those which are capable of settling when placed in a quiescent condition. Okay. The suspended solids are those which are not soluble in water and remain suspension along with a long period. These solids impart turbidity to water. The dissolved solids impart color and odor to the water. The total settleable and suspended dissolved solids include volatile and fixed components. Okay. So first we'll take up about the first, that is which one? Settleable, total suspended, total dissolved, and total colloidal solids. So settleable solids, how exactly you have to find out it? Which are those solids? See, we are going to conduct this test in the laboratory using Imhoff cone. Okay, this is nothing. It is a cone which is having the graduations. Okay, so what you have to take is that you have to take 1 liter of the sample or water containing the solids. Then take and pour into this Imhoff cone. This is nothing but Imhoff cone. Okay, and wait for about half an hour. So then whatever the solids will be there, it will settle here. Okay, it will settle at the bottom. And once it is done, okay, after half an hour, and measure it, how much solids are settled at the bottom. So then what is the unit of this? How we are going to measure it? So first what you are doing is that you are taking 1 liter of sample which containing of solids. We don't know what kind of solids are there. Okay. Initially we don't know. Okay. So then transfer that sample to this Imhoff cone. Wait for half an hour. Then after half an hour, those solids which are settle under the influence of the gravity, so that can be measured. At the bottom you can see the thick type of precipitate, whatever the mud, whatever it is there, it will settle under the influence of gravity at the bottom. Okay, so and measure it is in ml per liter, 1 ml per liter, or 2 ml per liter, or it is 3 ml per liter. Okay, so why we are using the unit as ml per liter? Because the graduations are ml per liter. See how much depth it is settled. So that is 1 ml, 2 ml, 3 ml it will be there. That is related to the settleable solids. It is over. Okay. But some of the solids will not settle, so that will be in suspension. They are nothing but that will be under the remaining. It will be either it will be total suspended solids, either it will be total dissolved solids, either it will be total colloidal solids. Then how we have to remove that? Okay, how we have to measure that? For example, let's come back to the total suspended solids. Then how we are going to measure it? So total suspended solids, if you want to measure it, so take same 100 ml from this sample only. See, take 100 ml of sample, 100 ml of sample, and filter that using filter paper. We have to use filter paper here. So like that, filter paper it will be there. Okay. See, what will happen is that once you filter it, see, usually it is having what kind of filter paper you have to take? You have to take Vatman. It is the name of the company. Vatman 42. Okay, Vatman 42 filter paper you have to take, and you have to filter the 100 ml of sample. So once you filter it, the some of the solids are going to settle at the top of this filter paper. At the top of the filter paper, you can see some of the solids are going to settle on this or retain on this filter paper. Okay, so that is nothing but the total suspended solids. Then how to measure it? So initially what you have to take, that you have to take the initial weight of the filter paper, what you are doing it, initial in terms of grams. Okay, then final weight of the filter paper after own drying. See, you will filter it. Okay, you will filter this using filter paper 100 ml or whatever the known volume of sample. You have to filter it. So then once you filter it, you have to keep it for 24 hours for about 105 degree centigrade in oven. So after oven drying, again you have to take the final weight. Okay, that will be in grams. Then initial minus final. Initial minus final. Okay. If you take the difference, that much grams in 100 ml of sample, you are getting the solids. So gram per 100 ml of sample. So G, it is usually grams, it is designated by G, not in GMs and all those things. Remember that. Always you have to write only G. So that is gram per 100 ml. In 100 ml, that much grams of total suspended solids will be there. So then you have to convert this into liters always. Okay. Then how to convert it? See, now in 100 ml you have this much grams is there. For 1 liter, so always multiply by 10. So whatever you are getting gram per 100 ml, if you multiply with 10, so then you will get okay in liters. So means 10 into 100 is 1000 ml. It is nothing but 1 liter. Okay. Then convert that grams into milligrams. How we are going to convert grams to milligrams? By multiplying again. 1 gram is equal to 1000 milligrams. So multiply by 1000. Okay. So then always this unit of TSS is 1000. Unit of TSS is milligram per liter. Always. Okay. This is how you have to determine the total suspended solids. Okay. Now, the total dissolved solids and total colloidal solids, we'll discuss that later. Okay, maybe in the tomorrow's class. But what you have done in total suspended solids, step by step procedure you have to remember. Then only you will understand that what kind of solids are those. Okay, now you understood the total settleable solids. That settleable solids are settled in Emoff cone. Okay, then total suspended solids, so that solids which are retained on the filter paper. The solids are retained on the filter paper. Then how you have measured it? So after oven drying, you have taken the final weight. Okay. So if you take the final weight and initial difference of initial minus final, you will get a weight in grams. So that grams, you have taken the sample 100 ml. So the grams in 100 ml. So convert that into 1 liters. Convert that into 1 liters. Okay. So that is, and whatever the grams is there, that grams you convert it into milligrams. Okay. So the unit of the total suspended solids is milligram per liter. Okay. So then next thing is, see, after filtration, see, this is a filter paper you took. So some of the solids are settled, and what will happen is that some of the solids will escape through this filter paper. Some of the solids will escape through this filter paper. See, those solids which escape through this filter paper are the total dissolved solids. See, those solids which will retain on the filter paper, they are total suspended solids. Those solids will escape through this filter paper because this filter paper is having the pores. Okay. And the filter paper is ashless. It is the ashless filter paper. So even if you burn that filter paper, you won't get any ash. Okay, you won't get any ash. Okay, so that is the ashless filter paper you have to consider. See, and those solids will transfer to this filter paper. They are nothing but total dissolved solids. Then you have filtered the 100 ml. Then again this 100 ml solutions, you collect it in a glass beaker. And again you keep it for 24 hours in oven. So you evaporate all the water content. See, once you evaporate all the water content, and some of the solids will retain at the bottom of this beaker. Okay, it is nothing but the total dissolved solids. Okay, the remaining the colloidal solids and the remaining fixed and volatile solids, we will discuss that in the next class. Okay. We'll wind up the class. If you have any doubts, you can chat. Personally, you can chat, not a problem. We will end the class.